Hey, this is Kirk Hilliard.
And it's Rusty Byrd. It's the Kirk and Byrd show. We got Coach Van Acker, the new coach of Hylton High School football. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
New coach of that great program, Hylton High School. He's got a lot of experience. We're going to learn about his coaching background, but also just you get to know a little bit more about him. And of course, we've got Jay Gholson, the godfather of Prince William County sports. He has his own Facebook group, the Real Prince William County Sports Facebook page. And then, Jay, tell folks where they can find you if they want to buy a house.
Yeah, Remax Executives, 703-517-8640.
And if you've heard that voice, you've probably heard it because he's the voice of Freedom Football and Freedom Basketball and Flint Hill Basketball.
Yeah.
All right. And wait a minute, do you do boys and girls at Flint Hill, just girls?
I do boys, girls, and girls volleyball.
Whoa.
That's right. You do girls volleyball, too.
If you don't sell another house, bro, you paid. All right. Kirk, tell folks where they can find us.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. Just hit subscribe. Coach Van Acker's already done that. We know that. He's going to get the whole team and everybody at Hylton High School to do that. And then please follow us on Twitter at the Kirk and Byrd. There's no show on it. That's Kirk and Byrd. We put stuff on there. Got a lot of players. Got some head coaches. Got a lot of the recruiting coordinators for those local schools. And then any of the platforms, just Google us, the Kirk and Byrd. It's probably our number one search term. And then also we're trying to pump a Northern Virginia, because Prince William, Jay and Prince William, they've got like 10,000 on a Facebook page, a forum, just exchanging information and things like that. So we started the 703-540 Nova High School Sports page, and we put content on there, and we're encouraging people to put more content on there. So we'll have stuff on there from we'll put inside Nova, some of Dave Fawcett's stuff, some of the local papers for Fairfax and Arlington. I do a lot of the Loudoun, so we encourage you to go there. And we can kick it off. Coach Van Acker and I were talking before everybody got on. His path is pretty fascinating. You know, he's excited about this, but this guy's been an Illinois guy coming to Virginia. Started at William Campbell with. We talked about Charles Haley's high school and just fell in love with football in Virginia. So Rusty's usually the MC on these. So I'll let you take over, Rusty.
All right. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this, Coach. Tell us a little bit about your background in coaching. So what I mean by that is I know you've been the head coach a number of places, but you've also been a coordinator. You've been in Prince William County. You've been in Fairfax. You've been in 757. But wherever you want to start, tell us a little bit about your coaching background, because that's probably the first thing people are going to want to know.
Coach, I got to prop you up real quick.
Yeah.
46 candidates. This guy beat out 45 people for a head coaching job at a very, very good school. And everybody in the high school sports games knows that those football and basketball jobs are highly sought after. I had to set you up, Coach. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much. It's just, like I said, it's just a blessing. It's a blessing to impact kids' lives. So, I mean, my journey starts all the way back from when I played college ball. You know, I had 3 knee surgeries in 3 years of playing college football. Ooh. I had 2 different head coaches. And so I learned a lot of different ball and a lot of different positions. And I think that experience helped propel me as a better football coach, to be able to learn so much and so many different variations of stuff. And so, you know, when the doctor said, hey, we're going to move you from middle linebacker, which I've been playing ever since I was in Pee Wee, and you're going to put your hand in the dirt, you're going to play defensive end. Oh, and by the way, we're going to bring in 2 JUCO All-American defensive ends from California. I saw the writing on the wall. I realized I wasn't going to play much longer. So I decided to, hang up my cleats, grab the whistle, which is the next best thing to do, pay it forward. And I was actually coaching high school football while I was still a college student. And that first year in Illinois, where I'm originally from, that first year, I was the linebacker coach, assistant special team coordinator. We went all the way to the state championship, lost the state championship. And, you know, a lot of coaches, they can coach 30, 40 years and they never get the chance to sniff a state championship game. And, you know,
Yep.
to experience that as an assistant coach my first year of coaching is pretty amazing. And so, you know, I've been blessed. I really have. That following year, I graduated from college, started looking for a job. And, you know, at that time period, No Child Left Behind was changing the education field. A lot of teachers had to go back, get paid. And so they were paying incoming new teachers like $35,000. I couldn't even live in my parents' basement for $35,000, you know. So started throwing my applications all across the United States. First job that sprung up, my first interview was at William Campbell High School, just a small single A school outside the city of Lynchburg. Flew into Charlotte, took my sister's car, drove it all the way up. And it's so small, I actually drove past it. I didn't even see the school. And I stopped at a gas station. I was like, hey, where's William Campbell High School? Because on my map, you know, that was before, you know, maps on you know, your cell phone.
Right. Remember those days.
I was like, where's William Campbell High School on the map? It says it's right here in Nayruna, Virginia. And they're like, oh, it's back there at the other street light, which is like 2 in the whole area. And then you take a right and you go over the train tracks and the school is right over there. And I'm like, what am I getting myself into? Like, what? And I went there. I saw the kids work out in the weight room. I've never seen kids work like that ever in my life. Yeah. And they were just coming off a state championship in 2002 with Cedric Pierman, who went on to go to UVA and played in the league for the Bengals for a while.
Yeah.
And, you know, they just won that state championship. So Coach Bradley, who's my coaching mentor, great coach, probably going to be a Hall of Famer, multiple state champion winner. He kind of was like, hey, I need somebody to fight for defense. We're all offense coaches. I need somebody to fight for defense. And that was my forte, played middle linebacker in college. So straight out of college, I mean, basically was given a defense coordinator job first year.
Wow.
You know, and he kind of felt it in me that my dreams and aspirations was to be a head coach. So he said, hey, I want you to come out here, help run the defense, but you gotta give me 3 years. You gotta give me 3 years, grow yourself. You're still young. After 3 years, I'll help you go try to find a head coaching job. So stayed there 3 years, won a state championship in 2005.
Wow.
2 region championships, a region runner-up. And that was up against Gretna at the time with Vic Hall.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was blowing
Vic
up
Hall,
everybody's record, you know. And, you know, he was like, hey, we want you to come in here and try to stop this dude. And I was like, yeah, right. That's a Hue and highlight film. Yeah, right. And I tried my best, couldn't stop him too much. But, you know, I had a lot of success there. And so he helped me get my first head coaching job at Galax out in Southwest Virginia. At the time, I was 25 years old. And at the time, that was the youngest head football coach in the state of Virginia's history.
Wow.
And then, so, I mean, I've been at it. I'm only 42, but I've been coaching for 21 years. So half of my life, I've been coaching high school football.
Wow.
I have a question, though. Difference between the Illinois kid and a Virginia kid for high school football?
So what I experienced for me is, you know, in Illinois, we have different system where the preps and privates will both play against each other, especially.
Okay.
And then you have your cities that usually rule the roost, especially the schools up in Chicago.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so where I grew up on the Mississippi River hump between Illinois and Iowa. And it's known as the Quad Cities. Really good high school.
Oh, yeah. Moline.
Yep, Moline. Okay. So I was Geneseo. I was the farm town outside of the big city. And Geneseo is a prominent high school football program, one of the top programs in the state of Illinois. So I grew up with all that pressure stuff. I was the youngest of 4 kids. All 4 of us went on to play college athletics and get college scholarships. My dad was a Vietnam War veteran. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So we didn't have a whole lot of money to go to college. You know, exactly. So me and my brothers and my sister, we were the first ones in our family to get that college degree. And it was because sports was able to facilitate that. And so that's kind of where I grew up in that area. And so, I mean, you know, our hard part was we grew up in this small country farm town, and
Mhm.
you play with who you got. There's nobody
Right.
transferring in. There's, we
Right.
grew up with these kids, and I mean, ran the same thing from Pee Wee all the way up. We had our own youth system for just our small town, and then eventually we come together, all these different, opponents that we didn't like each other. Now we're teammates. And I mean, we had two eighth grade teams of, like 35, 40 kids. So when we come in as freshmen, we have like 75 kids at a small
Wow.
country school. So, that's the kind of tradition I grew up in. And our biggest issue, I mean, we won 5 state championships, and I think we've had 6 or 7 state runner-ups. But when we get to the pinnacle, we're talking about the runner-up state championship. That's when we usually have to run into one of those powerhouse Catholic schools from Chicago, where they
Yep.
could
Yeah.
recruit anybody
Yeah.
and everybody from that diocese. So, we'd always run up against the Joliet Catholics,
Yeah.
national
Leslie
known,
Joliet. Yeah.
and so my oldest brother, he played against Mike Allstott in the state championship game.
Whoa.
And like we probably would have won that game if my brother was able to play, but he tore his ACL the week before, and he was probably 6'7", 360-pound offensive tackle. He would have easily been a 5-star if they had ratings back then.
Yeah.
I went on recruiting visits with him to, Nebraska, Wisconsin, all the big dogs of the early 90s, so that kind of, helped mold who I am, as a coach as well. So, I would say that would be like the difference between the Illinois school athlete and the Virginia. But, I always tell the kids, man, you're all high school kids. You put on your helmets the same way, shoulder pads the same way. You go through the everyday crisis of going to school every day, long day periods, listening about, this and that. And then you have to go and practice, and then you have to work and all that kind of stuff. You all do that. You're all high school
Yeah.
kids. The people that work harder, that have really good coaching and good leadership, those are usually the teams that take it to the pinnacle,
Yeah.
Yeah. Question also, when you're down in high school, you're what, 25 years old as a head coach?
Yeah.
Now, how did you, if I'm 17 years old,
Mm.
you walk in the room as a new coach, I'm 17, you're 25. How did you handle the close age gap?
I think it was all about respect. I presented myself as probably maybe older than I actually was.
Yeah.
And so the kids respected that. I also feel that one thing that has been a benefit of me is that youthful energy. Like, I know these kids, what they listen to. I listen to some of the same music they listen to.
Yeah.
And so that easily attracts those kids to see my passion about coaching and, my knowledge about the game of football and that kind of stuff. So that usually attracts those kids to come play for me. And so I really didn't have any, trouble getting kids to come out and play for me. And, it's funny because I still have kids from those very first days still texting me, congratulating me about getting the Hylton job, and throwing down these lifelong memories, these core memories from, 15, 16 years ago, and to me, that's what it's all about,
7. So in case you don't know, Kirk and I both are from the 757. That's a Bethel football helmet. That's where I played.
I see.
And so, we love, he went to Phoebus. I played at Bethel. And so we're passionate. So we bring up a 757 school. We want to know a little bit about your time at Grafton.
Yeah. So, after Galax, I got a great opportunity to go out to the 757. It's famed, man. It's famed for a reason. Great athletes, great football, great area. I mean, oh my, like if I could, I'd probably go back because it's such a great area. I loved it. So I got fortunate to get the head coaching job at Grafton High School. They were just coming out of kind of some good times, and they were struggling a little bit. And so I just used the same recipe. I always talk about, I feel like I have the blueprint for success for high school football, and I just used my own experiences from when I was in Geneseo and all that kind of stuff. And I just incorporate it to where I'm at, and the kids buy in. They bought in really quick. A lot of times, if you look at my records and stuff, you'll see that usually in that first year or that second year, I take whatever school I'm at to another level. You know, I'd say about 90% of all the schools I've been at, that's how it's done. And it usually is how quick the kids buy in, you know,
Yeah.
and drafting. I mean, they were running, you know, the double wing, you know, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I come in, totally scrap it. We're going spread, 4 or 5 wide, 3-by-1 sets, slinging the ball all over the place, going to all these 7-on-7s, and the kids just flocked to it. They loved it. They lived it, you know, and when you have that, great things could happen, because then now they're starting to work. And I got surround myself with great coaches. I'm a strong believer. I'm just one person. I'm only as good as the people I surround myself with. So if I surround myself with great assistant coaches, I know success is going to happen. Those kids are going to get coached up. So my 3 years there, first year we went 8-2 regular season, which they were 4-6 a year before that I took over. So basically the same kids and doubled the win total. You know, and then we went to let's see, we've been the region semifinals. We lost to Cortland. We had the chance to win that game. We moved the ball all the way down, setting up for a game-winning field goal. And it was the first time I ever actually got to coach a girl on the football team. I had a male kicker who went eventually to CNU to play soccer. She's great. And she was our kicker. She had one of the strongest legs. I mean, she was a great field goal kicker. And the week before this game, she was, you know, doing her club soccer and that kind of stuff. That's her primary sport. So I let her do that and that kind of stuff. And she pulled a muscle in her leg, so she couldn't kick. So we had to put in her backup to kick the game-winning field goal to beat Cortland to go to the region championship. And it wasn't even close. It wasn't. And you know, so that was a heartbreaker. But the next year we marched it back. We went all the way to you know, the region championship. We beat Cortland for the region championship. And then we unfortunately had to run into that buzzsaw called Briar Woods. You know, and Tracy McSorley, you know, that year in 2011, I went back and I looked at that roster, and they had 20 Division I kids on that roster.
Brandon Polk,
5 went on to play in the league.
Wow.
You know, and I had 2 kids going to the Division I. And so, I mean, you know, I joke about it because it was a great time, but I joke about it because they came out 2 by 2. They wrapped around the football field and just 2 by 2 got 2 lines going all the way across around the football field. And we were intimidated from before the whistle even blew. I mean, our kids came out in all white, big. Our kids' jaws were dropping down. I was like, dude, we might have lost this game right here. I'm like, guys, they're just high school kids. I tell you that all the time. And I mean, you know, coach over there, he's a good friend of mine, and he probably could have put 60, 70 on us, but he pulled it back, and I think he only won like 30-0 or something like that. And then he eventually won Tracy McSorley's second state championship. So then the following year, you know, new change, a lot of seniors I lost. We did a really good job, made the playoffs again. So 3 years, 3 playoff appearances.
Yeah, that's good.
And then we had our second son, Mason, who's 10 years old now, and looking to, you know, maybe try to make some more money, you know, at that time period of our life, and also to look for another opportunity. So that's what got us up in Northern Virginia.
Okay.
About what, 10 years ago now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was that Battlefield?
No, so I first started out at Freedom South Riding.
Freedom South Riding, yeah.
And at that same time, I was telling Kirk this beforehand. At that same time, I was interviewing at a bunch of schools up here, and one of the schools I interviewed was at Woodbridge. And the AD at that time was
George
Coke. Coke.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
And so when 2 years later the Battlefield job opens up, Coke is the AD over at Battlefield.
Right.
I kind of, started that process to get that job. And, same thing, very similar to like Hylton. I thought, hey, this is that tradition rich, program, great area to, just like Hylton, great area to build your family, good schools, this and that. So, let's do this thing. And then, I was there for 2 years, went 16-7.
Wow.
Coach of the year, won the district. We went all the way to the region semis, lost to Lake Braddock in a heartbreaker. And then that following year, my second year there, we went to the playoffs and we lost to South County in the first round.
Yep.
I had Braylon Franklin. You might recognize that name. He came here from Texas when I first took over the Battlefield job. And he was like, Coach, I'm quarterback. I'm like, okay, well, you're pretty athletic. Let's see you spin it. And so he started throwing around. I'm like, oh, he's pretty good. And I was like, have you ever played defense before? And he's like, just a little bit of defensive back. And I'm like, okay, well, let's try him. So he started that first game, which is ironically against Hylton. My first win at Battlefield was against Hylton.
Wow.
And that was the years with Ricky Slade.
Oh.
Right.
And we came out and we beat them. I think it was 28-0 that first game when I was at Battlefield. And Ricky got hurt. I think he got concussion, that kind of stuff. That was a great year. That was a great year for us. And then that second year we lost to Braylon, got hurt right at the very end against Patriots, so he didn't get to play in the playoff game. He eventually went on to sign with Penn State. And when you have a dude like that that's not playing, that's definitely devastating to a team. So
Yeah.
What was your last year at Battlefield? What calendar year? What was that? Was that
2016, I believe.
2016. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, real quick, just to give some context, let me just slip this in there. Rusty and I talk about this all the time. The Bay Rivers district is very good. It used to be the old York River district, but you've got Tab. Gholson has gotten really good. Lafayette puts guys in the NFL. War Hill is a very good program. There's Jamestown. The people at home don't like this, but we think the Bay Rivers district is probably stronger top to bottom, than the Peninsula district. So, I mean, you went down there and won at a school that's hard to win at too. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah. I mean, it was a gauntlet of a schedule. I mean, there were no easy games on any schedule of any week. And then what was unique also about that is we all shared the field.
At York.
At York. So you didn't
really Bailey? Was it Bailey Field?
In Bailey Field.
Yeah. Bailey Field.
So for the record, Coach, there have been some great players on that field. Terry Kirby, that was where he played his home games. And I scored 2 touchdowns on that field. I just thought I'd let you know that back when we were playing, we played against Tab one year. I was playing quarterback. I did option left and I ran 60 yards touchdown. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, there's been so much good football in that area. Like I can't even explain it. And as you've already lived it. Playing at Bethel and stuff. So I mean, it was magical. It was a great time there. I loved Virginia Beach. I loved Hampton Roads. My family blossomed while we were down there. My wife loved her job. I mean, it was just an amazing opportunity. And then it just got to the point where like, hey, what else is out there?
Yeah.
Help out your family, that kind of stuff. Let's go see what's up in Northern Virginia.
Now, how was your experience at W.T. Woodson?
So after Battlefield High School, I went over to Woodson High School. Coach Doc, who's now the head coach at Lake Braddock.
Yeah.
He was actually like talks with me to help him be the defense coordinator for him there. And then when the opportunity arose to go to Lake Braddock, he took that job. That opened up a vacuum, and he took it really, really late. I'm talking about, I want to say like April,
Oh,
like
wow.
Wow.
super late
Yeah.
because there was some circumstances and Coach Proithus was let go and that kind of stuff. And it was really late, and so they were kind of scrambling. Who do we need? And he put in a good word for me. A lot of other people put in good word for me, so I went in there, I interviewed, and I got the job. And that's a school that traditionally is not very successful. I think they only had two region championships prior to me going to the region championship. They had a storyline of great coaches who helped build and develop other major programs that all got their start at Woodson.
Mhm.
So you have Coach Cox, who went to Battlefield. He got one of his starting spots was at Woodson. Coach Jerry Pannoni, he got his start. He had a lot of success at Woodson. Then he took that to South County and Centerville. Trey Taylor, same thing, had a little bit of success at Woodson, took it to Robinson, and then to South Lakes and had a lot of success. So they kind of have like a little track record there of that. So I was lucky, was very fortunate to get that opportunity. That one was, right person at the right time, I think. I had a great group of kids that wanted to work hard, that wanted to be successful. They had a chip on their shoulder. They wanted to, prove their previous coach wrong, for leaving them and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to feed that fire, because when kids are excited and you have a reason and a goal, things can get done. And so they did real good. Second year, we go 11-2, tied for the most wins in school history, coach of the year. And then we faced up with Freedom Woodbridge and DO in the region championship game in 2018, and we were 30-point underdogs for that game, and we were within a minute and a half of winning that game.
Yeah.
It was an epic game of all time, and tip my hat off to DO. He's a good friend of mine, good coaching buddy of mine. And he's done great things over there at his program, Freedom Woodbridge, and that was one of those kickstarts for that. Was right there in 2018.
So, Coach, we've learned a lot about your coaching and playing history and how you got to where you are now. So let us and some of our viewers know, what can we expect with the Hylton football program? What is it going to look like next year? Now, we know you haven't had a chance to actually get in and start working with the kids. You don't know who's necessarily coming from the middle school programs or whatever. But what will a Coach VA program look like next year at Hylton?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows when you go up against a Coach VA led team, they're going to be very disciplined. They're going to bring it on defense. I'm kind of known as that defensive guy that's going to attack you. That's going to play hard-nosed defense. My offense is going to be very, theatrical. I take a page out of the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf. We're going to give you multiple looks. We're going to be in single wing some. We're going to be spreading it out, chucking it all across the gridiron. And so it's pretty exciting style of football. The kids enjoy it because that's what they see on Saturdays, and so it helps them with recruiting, that kind of stuff. And then special teams is kind of like my forte. I learned from
good.
A lot of people about special teams. If you want to be a great head coach, Coach Beamer over at Virginia Tech, he kind of that was his baby, was special teams. So I kind of took the same lead on that third phase of the game of football. So you're going to get a well-coached team that's very organized, that's passionate about the game of football. They're going to come play, and you better button your chin straps, because we're going to be physical. We're going to play physical, and we're good for 4 quarters too.
Right.
I like that. I like that. That's outstanding.
So, hired your staff yet? Are they still calling people around to hire?
Yeah. So yesterday was my first official day. got to introduce myself to the kids and that kind of stuff. So just like every coach, you're working the back doors, talking to your coaching buddies. Hey, if I get this job, what do you think? That kind of stuff. After 21 years of coaching high school football, and with things that I do with the Nike Coach of the Year clinics and the things I've done with the Coaches Association, I got friends in all places, okay, across the state, high school buddies, assistant coaches. And so, I've got a list of all these possible assistant coaches. And so I'm taking my time. I want to make sure I make the right hire, because it's all about the kids. And I want to surround myself with great coaches that are going to coach up those kids. So I want to make sure that I take my time and make the right selections. But at the same time, there is a plethora of assistant coaches out there that want to come join me at Hylton High School. And I'm really excited about that next step. I'm going to be interviewing a couple of them tomorrow. I think you learn a lot about people by just doing exactly what we're doing right here, just talking about, and so sit them down, talk about them, likes, dislikes, their history, get them on board, see how much they know, that kind of stuff. And we'll go from that point when it comes.
Coach, where do you live? Are you in Fairfax County or are you in Prince William?
So I live in Prince William County. I currently
own
a house in Gainesville, Haymarket area.
Oh, you're not far.
Okay.
Yeah, so
far, man. You gotta sell your house.
He's just trying to sell your house. Don't.
I don't know if my wife will allow that right now.
Well, let me tell you, Coach. So just so you know, I actually live around the corner from Hylton. I live right off Hoadley Road. Okay. And my kids were originally zoned. So when we bought this house, they were first just being born. But I'm one of those dads. I knew it's like, wait a minute, what's the football program where we building this house? Okay. Now, all my kids growing up thought they were going to be Bulldogs. We took them to all those games. We watched all the great tradition of Hylton High School football over the last 20 years we've been in this house. And then what happens? They build Colgan, and we get zoned for Colgan, and my kids go there. But I still have a lot of love for that Hylton program. I like when you said you got the job, that was the jealous from the heart. Go Bulldogs. Because I have had nothing but respect for the coaches and the players that have come out of there. And I've been, if you don't know my history, I've been very active in this community, coaching a lot of youth, middle school football. I had my APYFL sweatshirt on earlier. That was a youth program. I coached there and won some championships, but then I coached at Benton. And what I'm bringing up is, Coach, one of the things I've noticed is the teams now that have had success because we have middle school football in Prince William County is the coaches that have relationships with the middle schools and some of the youth programs. Do you agree? And if so, is that something you're willing to look into or
so
to do?
I mean, I definitely agree, because I mean, you have to start building those relationships at a very, very young level, and I've been very heavily involved with my kids' own experiences in Prince William County with the Grizzly organization, the Haymarket Grizzlies. Yeah. Both my kids played football through there, tackle football, flag football, 7-on-7. Yeah. My oldest son's 14 years old, so he was a freshman this year at Battlefield. He was a starting quarterback. He was 7-0 until he messed up his shoulder, and it ended his year this year. So I feel like you build those relationships with those kids at that younger level. Yeah. And you work with those middle school coaches, those youth coaches, provide those clinics that I love going to do and running, that kind of stuff. And the ultimate goal is kind of like the blueprint of success that I was talking about, is I would love for my lower levels to run a modified version of what they're going to run for me at my school, and because that's how I grew up. Like I knew I grew up on the wing tee, and the 53 monster, 52 monster defense. But we ran that from when I was in 5th grade all the way till I was a senior in high school. Same verbiage, same, formation, all that kind of stuff. So by the time I got to high school, I was my own coach on the field.
Yeah.
And all of my teammates were the same way. So, when you're like that, it's one well-oiled machine, and then you get it going under the lights.
Yep.
You got your off-season program getting it going too. I mean, you're stepping right in, but I'm sure you are right in the middle of that, the workouts and all that. So are you going to be, as you get your staff, are you already, you have relationships you're going to capitalize on for strength and conditioning?
Yeah, so there's been a couple of assistant coaches from the previous staff that have been working with the kids ever since Coach resigned and stepped down, and they've been working really hard with those kids. I give them massive props to the kids. They didn't have to do that. I've seen multiple cases where when the coaches leave, they resign, they get fired or whatever. Everybody, the whole system just stops. That did not take place here. The kids were still working. They had two assistant coaches that kept them going. But I'm really looking forward to that off season workflow, because we're getting into it right away next week. The kids have the Monday off because it's the end of the quarter, but Tuesday morning at 6 o'clock, we're going to be in the gym at Hylton High School, and we're going to get after it. For a believer that, championships are won in the off season, and that's the standard. Standard is the state championship, and if you fall short to that, then that's okay too. Okay. But if you don't put that as your standard, you're never going to reach that level, so that's kind of what our mentality is going forward, and so on and so forth with this off season.
Do you have any particular people? I know you mentioned your father, you have an older brother, but any other people that have been influential in your life, but maybe it is particular in your football journey. Is there anybody that comes to mind, whether it's somebody you can touch and be around, or it's just somebody you look from afar and say, hey, I was always a Walter Payton fan because I'm from Illinois or something?
Yeah. And then Mike Singletary was the guy who I grew up being a middle linebacker, the way he would stare down his opponents, and just get after it. That's why I wore number 50 when I was in college, because of Mike Singletary. Lifelong Bears fan. I know it hasn't been beautiful the last 2 decades, but I'm always going to support my Bears.
I'm a Bears fan. I have a Walter Payton jersey right back there, so I was testing you on that. Okay, that's a good answer. Good answer.
I'm Chicago everything, but the White Sox. We don't add.
Also, Cubs.
I'm a Cubbies. Cubbies, Blackhawks, Bulls. I grew up with Jordan.
Okay, all right, good stuff. All right.
So that's kind of my background with that. But I mean, you go through my dad. He grew up. His story just in itself is amazing. My family. His real father served in World War II, D-Day. His stepfather served World War II at D-Day.
Wow.
When his real father came home, serving D-Day, Battle of the Bulge, everything in the Eastern Theater, gets home, and in 1 month dies in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
Within that 1 month, my father was created. But back in those time periods, it looked bad on a woman not being married and having kids. So our family shipped her up to our family farm in Minnesota to have my dad out of wedlock. And there she met another World War II veteran who also served in D-Day and Battle of the Bulge. And so that was my dad's stepfather. He moved him back to where I grew up in the Quad Cities. Yeah. And he grew up with a rough life. His stepfather really didn't put him under his wing or anything like that. That's not my flesh and blood. And so he had to work hard. He was always one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life, still to this day. And he went to high school. His stepfather wouldn't let him play sports because he had to work, and so he never got the opportunity to play sports.
Wow.
So that fueled him later in life. He was going to make sure that his kids had that opportunity, and he went off to Vietnam, served in Vietnam. Met my mom when they were in high school. She waited for him to come home from Vietnam. Came home from Vietnam, got married. And the rest is history. I'm the youngest of 4 kids, I'm also the smallest of 4 kids. So if you know me, you're like, Coach VA, man, you're a pretty big dude. How are you? And I always tell everybody, it's the movie Twins. I'm Danny DeVito, and all my brothers and sisters are an Arnold. You know,
Wow.
I mean, my oldest brother, like I said, he was like 6'7", 360-pound offensive tackle. My other brother was 6'6", 250 defensive end. My sister was 6'4", probably 220. She played Division I basketball at Coastal Carolina. And then there's me, the runt, you know.
Was that big? Was that big for farming or manufacturing? The Quad Cities.
So it's farming. It's John Deere. That's where John Deere. And so when my dad came home from Vietnam, he literally walked into the foundry at John Deere and he got a supervisor job.
Okay.
Today, to get that same job, you have to have a 4-year degree from an engineer school. You have to have years of work experience before you can get that job. My dad had a high school diploma. You know,
they still have the PGA Tour event there.
Yes.
Also,
yeah,
that's
it's
a big deal.
It's literally 5 minutes from where I grew up.
Yep.
It's up the hill from where I grew up. And when I was young, I actually worked for a car dealership. And one of the things when they have the golf tournament there, we would give free cars to the golfers, the PGA golfers. And so my job was to drive the car to the place, stop, give the guy the key, then have to hitch a ride with another guy back, and I would shuttle cars the entire. And then I get free tickets so I could go watch the PGA. You know,
that's sweet.
That was pretty cool.
The reason why I know of that area is back in the day, there was the Department of Defense had defense mega centers, and one was there. Those data centers, because computing was a lot bigger, were miles long. They used to drive stuff around them. So that used to be a defense mega center, and a lot of people would go there in my industry. So that's what I remember that for.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
And then, you know, keep going through. I mean, my coaches, those were heavily influential to me. My high school varsity coach, Coach Denny Derricks, I love him to death. He's a second father to me. You know, I didn't, as a player, I was stuck behind 2 All-Americans my junior year. So that means there were 2-time All-Staters in the state of Illinois. So my playing time was slim as a junior. And as you all know, you know, the opportunity to go to college, you need that film as soon as possible. So I kind of thought that I wasn't going to be like my brothers and my sister and get that opportunity to play as a college athlete. So I was researching, and my family is very strong military family. So I was like, well, maybe I might join the military. And so I researched it and started talking to the National Guard, and the National Guard was like, hey, you know, you graduate high school, you could go to college, use the GI Bill, you know, basically go play, you know, go shoot your gun 1 weekend out of the month and do that for 3 years and you're done. You served your country. And I was like, I could do that, you know, I could do that, you know. And my high school coach was like, you know, I think you could be something special your senior year. And I think you have, because your brothers were all college athletes, the college recruiters know about you and your family. I think if you have a great senior year, you're going to get that scholarship. And I was like, Coach, I'm almost signed, sealed, delivered to go to boot camp my summer before my senior year. And so that way, after I graduate, I go straight to college and don't have to do boot camp and that kind of stuff. And he said, cancel that. I believe in you. I think you're primed for a great senior year. And so I was like, I'm gonna listen to you. I've never not listened to you. So I'm gonna take your advice and not do that. So I didn't. Went out, had a phenomenal senior year, you know, second team all state, all that kind of stuff, all these accolades, started getting recruited, this and that, got my football scholarship to Quincy University, which is a Division II school. And went there. And then the next year, 9/11 happened, you know.
Wow.
And then so a lot of my buddies who went to basic training when I was supposed to, they were forced to get signed up and they served over there in Iraq and Afghanistan. I actually lost a couple of my buddies, you know. So like it's weird how, you know, the Lord works, you know. You know, and so, you know, so my head coach, very prominent. You know, I'm one of those cats too that if I didn't have the game of football, I don't know where I would be today. You know, it kept me straight, aligned. You know, make sure I don't break the law. You know, don't do anything, you know, crazy, that kind of stuff. Because some of the kids I used to grow up with, they're either dead, jail, or they're struggling with drugs and alcohol and that kind of stuff. So, you know,
Wow.
I was fortunate.
Very blessed. Very blessed. Well, look, so now we will go into we'll ask you a couple of questions, non-sports. And so you were up in this area during the pandemic. One of the things I know I finally got in tune with was watching Netflix and all these shows I could stream stuff. And so the first one I really got hooked on was Tiger King. So let me ask, are there any things you like to stream or you watch on TV? Or it could just be regular shows, you know, like all of the Chicago ones, or do you have a favorite movie? Just we're trying to get an idea of what Coach VA is into.
So I'm the oddball. I'm not one of those golfer type football coaches. I'm terrible at golf. You know, so like everybody's like, hey, you want to go golf? No, because I'm super competitive. And if I can't win, I'm gonna be that guy that's throwing those clubs and making an idiot out of myself. Like I ain't doing that. I love watching movies and entertainment, watching streaming TV shows. So, you know, this is kind of sappy of me, but This Is Us was one of my favorite shows.
It's not. That's a great show. It's a great show.
It was me and my wife's date night. We'd sit there, we'd watch that.
Great show, man.
Great show. And a lot of people don't know this about me, but I'm a Game of Thrones fanatic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've watched the Game of Thrones, and now it's spinoff. I think I've watched the whole series probably about 20 times over and over again because I just love it. I don't know.
Well, I didn't get into Game of Thrones until very, very late because my coworkers used to come in every Monday and talk about it. And I didn't even jump on until like right before the last season, but the last season took a long time. So I caught up with everything. But yeah, okay. Now, I'm feeling you on that. But let me ask you, I got one question about, have you ever watched or gotten into like Last Chance U? Have you ever watched that, or QB1?
Yeah. No, I've watched all those too. JB, who's the head coach at one of those when he was at
Indy.
Yeah. So I get a kick out of him because like he does coaching different. You know, he's a different type of coach. Yeah, I don't coach like him, you know, so I get a kick out of watching somebody coach like he does. I reached out to him, you know, because, you know, with my dealings with Nike and stuff, I was like, man, I need to get you to come speak at my clinic and all that kind of stuff because he is a great offensive mind. And, you know, and he does it his own way. I'm not saying it's the right way or the wrong way, but he does it his way, and it's been successful for him. So I've watched all those things. And I remember, you know, growing up in high school, we had the Hoover one. With
I love that.
Dude.
Yo, that was the bomb, yo.
That's good.
Yes.
Stuff. So, you know, so I've been doing that for a while now, watching those type of things. So,
how about favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh man,
he's about 10 years younger than us, so we were 90's a good decade.
Yeah. So, man, favorite movie. You know, I'm a history buff too, so you know, Saving Private Ryan's up there.
Great movie.
The whole D-Day thing, like I said, with my family background, which is really kind of unique because my wife is a professional marathon runner, and so she just got invited to go run the marathon in London in April.
Ooh.
And so we're going to take the kids with us. We're going to do the whole marathon. Then we're going to go to Paris, and then we're going to go over to D-Day and see it.
Wow.
That's on my bucket list, by the way, to go to Normandy.
Yeah, and I saw that first time when I was, I think, man, I might have been a senior in high school at my hometown theater, and there was a guy that served at D-Day sitting right next to me, and that dude was in tears.
Wow.
It's so powerful. So I would say that would be one of my top three. You know, another thing that a lot of people don't know about me is I'm a huge Star Wars I'm a Star Wars, you know, so like you put any of the Star Wars up there in that top three, you know.
All right, Coach. Hold on. Star Wars is a group of people. Now, are you also into the Marvel universe?
So that's a funny story too.
Okay.
So, a lot of people don't know about this about me too, but I'm a very, very good artist. And
okay.
So when I was a senior in high school, I had kind of a three-prong attack. I was going to try to go to college and play college football and be a teacher. The other one was to go to the military, which we talked about already. And then the third one was go to art school. And I got accepted to San Francisco School of Art.
Oh.
So I was thinking like my dream and aspiration with art was I was going to go out to California and draw comics for Marvel.
Oh, snap.
And so I've been a diehard Marvel guy. Like, because ultimately what I'm watching right now is probably what I was going to do if I would have went that path, you know? So it's pretty cool.
So hold on, Kirk, you can do it. My last one. Saying all that, since you do like comics, you like Star Wars, if you could be any superhero, who would Coach VA be? Or if you don't want to be a specific superhero, what would be your superpower? If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Man, I've been a diehard Wolverine fan all my life.
Oh,
okay. Wolverine, he had the claws, he had the, nothing could hurt him. He had the immunity component. I mean, that dude was just bad to the bone, and so I was always a big Wolverine fan. And then if we go Star Wars, it's Master Yoda.
Okay.
Kicked everybody's tail. And then next thing he can barely walk with a cane,
Yep.
I hope you've seen Band of Brothers.
Oh, love Band of Brothers.
Okay. I was going to say, because if you haven't, you'll get hooked on it real fast.
Yeah, no, what's going to be really interesting is coming up here in February, the same guys along with Tom Hanks, they're doing the Masters of the Air. So that one's like the B-17 bombers, kind of like
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah,
Shifty Powers was the best shot in Easy Company.
Okay, yeah.
He's from Virginia. He's from Wise County.
Really?
So, little thing a lot of people don't know. Yeah, he's from Wise County, which is George C. Scott's from there. My mom grew up there. He's from there. And then, Dick Winters lived right up in Hershey, not far from here. So that is pretty interesting when you find out about those guys, where they grew up and all that. And then I don't know if you've seen any of the stuff, what were the people, but pretty amazing stuff. Yeah. But I'm glad you've seen it, man, because you're busy right now, but when you're downtime, you'd be all over that. So yeah.
And then just, with my downtime, that's what I do. I watch movies. The other day, my wife and I, we had date night. We went and saw Iron Claw with the Von Erichs.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm a big wrestling guy too. I grew up watching WWE.
That's right. Yeah.
And so that movie was dynamic, depressing, because if you know the story and all that stuff, depressing, but man, powerful movie. That was awesome.
It was. Jay, Kirk, any other questions or anything you want to know before we wrap this up?
Hey, good luck, Jared. We're pulling for you, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are definitely got your back. Like I said, when you do get some of those things together, like if you want to come back on and promote a camp or anything you're doing, we would love to have you back on the show. I feel like I already know you, man. I mean, and this is our first time legit meeting. I probably beat your Grizzly teams with some of my APYFL teams. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't do the high school version. I did the middle school version because that's where my son was playing at that time.
Okay.
But it was between my son, who's quarterback, and then the current quarterback, who's the current quarterback, O'Shea at Battlefield.
Caleb.
Oh, Caleb. Yeah.
Those were my two quarterbacks, my son and O'Shea. And,
wow.
I'm really good friends with O'Shea's dad. He coached Caleb tackle football a couple years before. So seeing what Callum's doing on the gridiron with Battlefield is just awesome. It is. I think that's really cool when you work with the youth, like we're talking about, is seeing them when they were guys.
Yeah.
Now they're balling on the high school level,
Yep.
so that's pretty cool.
That is cool. That is cool. Well, look, Coach, thanks again, Coach VA. You were great. You really blessed us tonight. And so for Jay Gholson, for Coach VA, and my co-host Kirk K, this has been the Kirk and Byrd Show. We are out.